The U.S. participation in this year's Moscow Air Show isn't just historic. It's also a chance to change a lot of Cold War impressions about Americans.
So I think the Americans sometimes get a bad rap of being the arrogant American, the ugly Americans.
What seemed impossible only 15 years ago is now a reality in one of the most recognizable landmarks of Soviet Russia, Red Square. Here, flyers once poised to fight each other are now handshaking and swapping stories, and sneaking in a little bit of sightseeing. It's the first time many have come into contact with former Cold War adversaries, and at the forefront of this encounter is a mission far greater than the air show. It's diplomacy.
That's really part of what the military-to-military contacts, and that's sort of where you blend the lines, is we're creating friendships that, in the long run, add to the world's security environment.
Even though a tour through the city of Moscow is a chance to sightsee and shop for many of these pilots, it's also a chance to let ordinary Russians get a feel for how Americans really are.
By presenting yourself in a very polite and kind manner and just appreciating the small things that people do for you every day, when we're here, I think it's a way to come across.
Another way to come across is by hitting the airwaves. Here in the studios of one of Moscow's most popular radio stations, the voices of the U.S. Mission Commander, Colonel Stephen Mueller, and F-15 pilot Captain Andy Wistersill reach an audience of hundreds of thousands of Russians.
So when it happens, it's not the first time that it's happened in a controlled situation on the ground, so we're prepared for it when it happens in the air.
It's a call-in show, with many listeners asking everything from encounters with UFOs to traditions of the U.S. fighter pilot.
I take my wedding ring off before I fly each time.
Whether it's on the air or in the air, the U.S. participation at this year's International Space and Aviation Salon brought a human face to the U.S. Air Force, something the Russians take to heart.
If you just come to us with the smile, we'll smile you and we'll meet you with the bread and with the salt and with vodka and so on.
The toasting and the dinners and the gifts and the friendships are all about cementing a relationship, and you have to sort of do it in the culture that makes sense to them and makes sense to us.
Making sense is one of the first steps in helping former Cold War enemies forge ahead with future partnerships. In Moscow, Russia, Kane Fairbaugh, AFN News.